How can we improve that? And maybe we can reuse it. Maybe if you have plastic, maybe you can grind it up yourself and then mold it. Or maybe then can we make sure it's at least recycled, so we can separate the smart with the mic.
Yeah. But I don't see the light. There is a green light. It's working.
Oh yeah, it's green there.
Yeah.
Like SolidWorks, and also a lot of 3D printer. Since we were a startup, we didn't have that much money, so it's many ways you can go forward there. So sustainability is about. I can jump onto the slide if it's something.
Welcome in new episode with the podcast Engineering Encyclopedia in Trondheim with with chef of head of
Sustainability, head of sustainability. Yes, correct.
Sustainability in Topro.
Yes.
And you have experience before with Aker Solution and in another company. And the first question for you: welcome in
Thank you.
Trondheim, welcome in Topro. Can you explain about yourself and about your experience?
Yes, I can. So I'm Ingrid Lonar. So my background is a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering, where my field was product development and materials mainly. And after school, we started our own business with some other students that I got to know during my students. I study here in Trondheim, where we are now at the NTNU here. And met some students there who saw that walking in stairs are a challenge and also very scary for a lot of people because you can fall and there were a lot of injuries. So we started developing a rollator for the stairs. So after studies, we started working with this. And I actually been working on that since I was finished in 2013. And then we were bought by Topro. That's a really cool company that has like regular rollators in 2022. So I worked a bit as a product developer. Previously, I was kind of the COO or the technical boss, sort of. But since we're not so many people, I was both in charge of product development, production and logistic planning, doing installation training on our products, but also helping out on sales and marketing and business development and similar. Since we were a few people, we need to help out where it was needed. Yeah.
And you have experience with CAD program, SolidWorks.
Yes.
And 3D printing.
And 3D printing, yes. So we're using a lot of SolidWorks and also a lot of 3D printer. Since we were a startup, we didn't have that much money. So trying to produce prototypes and test as cheap as possible to save cost, because it costs to develop products and it takes a lot longer time than you think. Often, well, our experience, yeah.
How can sustainability be integrated into the design and manufacturing of assistive devices without compressing affordability and functionality?
Yeah. It's many ways you can go forward there. So sustainability is about. I can jump onto the slide if it's something. It's about meeting the needs of the present without compromising future generations to meet their needs. And I've been working a lot more with sustainability when I started in Topro and became head of sustainability, and learned a lot more about the field myself. I didn't think that much about it when I was in mechanical engineering to begin with, because there wasn't that much talk about it. But what I found is that that the environmental impact on a product and services is determined in the design phase. So as a product developer, the design phase is really critical for how much impact you will have on your product. But you have to find like a balance between, as you mentioned, you need to remember the planet, you need to remember the people, and you need to also be profitable. So you can push in some way, but and now we have a system that doesn't help us create all high quality products or and make it easier for us to repair and recycle, because it's so cheap to produce new stuff, but you can still affect in some way. So if you think of the planet side, it's about resource use and emission. And where you kind of have the most effect, especially on products like walkers, is the materials that you use in the product. How sustainable are them? How low carbon emissions do they have? And how easy it is, can you use recycled materials? Or can you make it easy to recycle later? But maybe also one super important thing is like the quality. How long can it stay before it's been recycled? So having high quality, but you have to find a good compensation, because you can't make things too heavy to transport or to use. But so you have to find like, because you can add so much material to make it last forever. So you have to find a balance there. But figure out like what is expected lifetime for the type of product you are providing or want to develop. So, but maybe today we use a phone for 2 years, but it could have been for 5, 6 years. So think about, okay, what are you designing? What is expected maybe technology change? So can we then adapt the product so it can be repaired, or you can change some things? Maybe on the phone, the battery eventually gets weaker. Could we just change the battery so we extend the rest of the materials and it could be last longer? But eventually it has an end of life expectancy. So then making sure how can it be recycled and come back kind of into the system and be part of more like what we say like a circular economy. Not just taking new resources and throwing it away, but actually maybe taking resources already in the market. And also, how do we avoid waste, both during the lifetime of the product, but also don't end up as just waste and burned or at the land field. Yeah. Big, it's hard to answer. Yeah, do it. Do like this, maybe you see it better.
Green light?
No, green light.
Like,
Yeah. Sustainable light.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And the question now, what are some of the most promising sustainability materials that engineers should consider for reducing environmental impact?
So kind of what's been on the market for a long time is aluminum. Even though aluminum has a higher emission and energy than steel, it's a lot easier to recycle. So it's a lot easier to get back into the loop because you use a lot less energy by like molding it again and
With aluminum.
with aluminum, yeah. Better than steel, even though if you look at aluminum and steel production like new raw material, steel has lower emission and aluminum has a higher emission. But in the total circle, the aluminum has lower emission when it has going to be recycled. So, and there's also a lot happening on the plastic side, because both with aluminum, depending on how you design it, you might be able to design it a bit lighter, making the structure strong compared to steel, and then the transportation also will be lower. But it kind of depends on your requirements on like safety. What does it need? What strength does it need? What pressure? You have to evaluate that at the same time. So plastic is unfortunately mainly produced of fossil fuel. It has helped a lot reducing emissions when it comes to transportation because it's a lot lighter than metal. But the problem is today its main resource are fossil fuels, and there's not a good recycling system for it. So as you see, there's so much on our beaches in the water. So it could be a potential in the future if we get a better recycling for this, and maybe also using other than fossil fuels as the raw, like the chemicals to produce the raw materials. But there's so many plastic types, so sorting all the different plastics so they don't contaminate each other is also important for the recycling. But there's coming like bio-based plastic, because it's just carbon plastic is based on. So now we have carbon from fossil fuels, but you can get carbon from other areas. So try to think about, okay, in what area do you operate? In the circular economy, you have like the biosphere, they say it. So if you're working with food and food waste, could you also use like food to create maybe the packaging, or so they can be recycled together, so you don't mix up those two? And in the technosphere, you have like metals, plastic, and they have to be in their separate loop, sort of, because they can't be mixed unless they come from the same thing. Yeah. But there's probably a lot of things there I'm not updated on too. So there's happening a lot of things. It's going to be interesting to see in the future.
The question now, how can industries transition to energy effective manufacturing while maintaining cost effect and scalability?
Yeah. So you can also think of the circular economy when it both comes to energy use and materials or products, sort of. So how can you, there's like a waste hierarchy where you think about like reducing first, then reusing, and then recycling before energy recovery where you burn the things, or disposal. So reducing, you can also look in, is your building energy efficient? Reducing your energy. My machines, are they on all the time? Can I operate them more efficient? Because if you reduce the energy use, you reduce the cost too. But you have to evaluate what does the investment in improving my building structure or improving the use of the machines compared to like the total cost or reduction cost in energy use. But think of a longer timeline than just 1 year. And you have to think of it as an investment too. And then look into your waste streams. What waste do you produce today? And what waste can't you put into the loop again? Maybe you can reuse some of your waste and maybe just reduce waste by increasing quality in your production. Start investigating like where does our waste, what deviations do we have, what do we scrap, how can we improve that, and maybe we can reuse it. Maybe if you have plastic, maybe you can grind it up yourself and then mold it, or maybe then then can we make sure it's at least recycled, so we can separate the waste we have, so we can actually recycle them, and you will actually get paid, especially for the metals. You will get paid, and it costs less with the different recycling materials if you just put them all in the residual waste stream, and you will pay more for that. But also then you can look into, are there a business possibility that we can provide our products more as a service than just selling it? Can we get it back, fix it, sell it again? Can we collaborate with somebody regarding this? So could this be another revenue, a sales revenue, an income, and a new business possibility also for the next step after you look internally?
What do you think about AI in with making the production? When we use AI in the factory?
There's so many possibilities for using AI, and there are some also sustainability challenges with using AI. Of course, there's a lot of things happening regarding automation of your production, with the robots you use, but also producing content, like if you web pages, market materials, text, you can get a lot of help there and make your work a lot more efficient. What you have to be especially aware of is like AI will never work by its own. It will always work with the people. So making a good transfer with the people that will be involved with the AI, so they actually learn, why does it behave in this way? And so if in case something happens, I know how to fix it, or I know how I can work with it, both for robots and automation, but also regarding like marketing, text. But unfortunately, AI has a lot higher environmental impact on our planet than just normal automation, because it uses a lot more data storage and processing, and also because of that they need a lot more water for cooling, so the energy is so much more higher, and the water consumption is also a lot higher than just a Google search. So evaluate, can we reduce maybe the energy, the efficiency in our production, in the way I work, that much that it's worth the increased energy usage and the water usage on where the AI data capacity is kind of stored or generates.
There is some information very new for me.
Oh, it is? Yeah. But now you know, because like Google has set really high climate ambitions on reducing their energy. But last year, their energy emissions, or like greenhouse gas emissions, were, I don't know, it was maybe one third higher from last year because of AI. So a lot of technology companies have set very cool ambitions when it comes to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but they see a huge conflict with also increasing and being a leader in AI and reducing their emissions, unfortunately. So we us consumers have to be a bit more aware on what we consume, both products, but also services like AI, Google, so we all can be a bit more responsible consumers too, not just the one who develop it. Yeah.
What are the biggest challenge engineers face in implementing sustainability solutions, and how can they be addressed?
Maybe one of the main challenges is the cost. As I mentioned today, previously, it's also because there's so easy and cheap to produce something new from new materials, and quality is not so high valued because companies they profit on recurrent sales. So the revenue and the price for materials and products, they are kind of conflicting with the environment and also the people's social side. Because maybe in a high-risk country, it's a lot cheaper to produce because the wages are a lot lower, but the risk of violation of human rights, it's a lot higher, but it's a good price. And the main challenge is because if us customer and market only want the cheapest price, then it's hard for you as an engineer to develop something with high quality, higher price. But it's also a lot about communication. So you have to work together with the marketing because it's also, we see in a competitive advantage if you're good at communicating the things you do within sustainability. But sustainability, it's a word that's not, maybe it's not so known. So you have to quantify it to the one, is it high quality? That's also part of sustainability. Is it helping people? So use the right words in the communication if you're developing something that you want to have a better impact on the people and the planet. So that's a way to address it. How can we communicate our efforts towards the people and the planet? And then that's a big task, but we have to try to affect the way our system works today. So how everything is system. Now we prioritize profit over almost everything else. So how can we balance that a lot better and not just profit? And that depends on what the customers and users need, what the market need, but also how we, like say for a country, how we measure our, what do I say? We use like gross market profit today that only values how much we export, but does it really value how our quality of life and how we like take care of our environment and planet? So we have to find a way to also have them as high and as important and valued when. So we have to take care of the people, the planet, and profit. Can they all be equaled the same? So we take care of all of them. But it's, we need some system change. It must be easier to repair, cheaper to repair than buying new sustainable material. More sustainable materials should have been cheaper. So there's a lot of things happening in EU regarding this. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can make the more sustainable products and services also more accessible for the consumer, hopefully, because it should have been a better match there. Yeah.
So last question.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for engineers and engineering students? How are seeking, implement, or looking to start their own business?
Well, first of all, if you want to start your own business, they often say that it's not always the idea that's the most important thing, but it's the team and the timing to the market. So think of who you're working with, who are involved in your team. Okay, maybe you have engineering skills, but a product doesn't sell itself. So you need people who can think of sales and marketing, who can also watch out that we don't go spend all our money, the economic side, but also thinking of like how the business model, how can we sell this and marketing it. So having a good team is important for starting your own business. And then the timing to the market is hard to decide yourself, because maybe you're too early. So if you're the first driver, it's going to take longer time because you have to make the market. But if there's already competitors, it could be an advantage because you don't have to say to the user, oh, this is something you need, like we had with the Assistive, because it wasn't there on the market before. We have to create the market, so it took a lot longer time. But maybe if there are competitors, you have a shorter margin to reaching your area. So even though you're engineer and really interested in the idea, get feedback, get a good team, and still have ambitions, even what isn't on the market in there today or what is on the market and can be improved. And can I take a competitor advantage in being a bit more sustainable than my competitors that we see are increasing trend, and it's more asked by the customers and users. Yeah.
Ingrid, I will thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for this conversation. I am happy for this podcast, and I hope we can work together with more podcasts maybe in the future.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for coming, and really cool to join. So hope I can contribute to both the subscribers to the YouTube channel, and maybe also help people and more engineers think more about the sustainability prospect when they design and develop.